So we're going to start, this panel is going to be mainly about the challenges that we face. And we have all the players here who are going to be able to answer these questions. We'll start with Khulud. Khulud OSN has 3 channels that concentrate basically on acquiring and commissioning Arabic dramas. From basically 0 to 3, how easy is it for you to find the quality of material that you are looking for?
I think our challenge, whether as a platform and being a pay platform, where we position ourselves as premium, and we have been positioned as premium Western, and we started into Arabic, and the challenge was we want to respect Arabic and we want to present premium Arabic. Arabic doesn't mean less premium than Western. And starting that challenge 3 years ago by offering premium or selecting and searching for premium Arabic. And that's a big challenge because the definition of premium is whether having editorial content or technical quality, where we really as broadcasters and producers challenge ourselves and raise the bar. The problem in finding premium in the Middle East, I think, whether in drama or cinema, is differentiators. We are, we're followers. If you look, for example, social dramas, if we look at drama, there's only social drama. Where's dramedies, where action, where's legal dramas, where medical dramas. So I think the big challenge in creating premiums is, other than really raising the bar and challenging ourselves as broadcasters and really not selecting things which are repetitive and just filling airtime. Because whether, at the end of the day, this is business and responsibility for our audience and to attract whether advertising revenue or us as pay TV, where we're asking viewers to come and pay for content, it needs to be differentiated and need to be premium. So I think this is the first challenge, is our responsibility as broadcasters and producers to stand and say, yes, we want to challenge ourselves and we want to respect Arabic content and create content that will attract and is differentiated. I think this is one challenge. The second challenge is piracy. Respecting intellectual property and understanding that at the end of the day, we have responsibility to our shareholders and producers and investors, and educating viewers that downloading content and our movies, where it's really jeopardized any kind of revenue stream, whether advertising or pay. So this is a big responsibility where we need support of governments and education to our viewers, the mean of piracy and the education about it. I was told that in Japan, for example, you don't see any piracy of content. Now you see our Arabic movies. How can I, as a platform, go make any money if the movie is available for free? It's just or torrents, everything. And yes, the problem is everywhere Western Arabic, but in Arabic, the problem is it's considered okay. So it's also being able to monetize our investment, our responsibility to our shareholders, and the education process that we need to all be engaged with, whether governments or associations in that education process. And the third one, which is very near to me, is, who are we catering for? If we look at the Middle East, the gap is content that caters to youth and women. Don't want to talk about youth because all of us know that 83%, I think, of the audience in the Middle East are watching YouTube content. So the content we have on air doesn't cater for new generation, whether in format or concept. But let's talk about women content, content that caters to women. Look at us, look at this audience. How many women are represented in production companies, in associations, and who will understand women more than women? I really think there is a total lack of respect to women's role in the society, and it's so badly represented in content that it's not really catering to women. So I think I'll focus on these 3.
My God, that's a lot of food for thought that Khulud gave us. Fadi, you now run one of the biggest studios in the Middle East. You've also been one of the people who brought Turkish to the Middle East. So, and for years there were a lot of Arab production companies or drama producers who complained that the money was put on acquiring Turkish dramas rather than producing Arab content. Now that there's an appetite for Arab content and there's a studio in which Arab content can be produced, can you tell us what you are facing trying to produce quality Arab content, whether in terms of, well, I'll let you go into it.
Thank you, Lina. Quality Arab content, I think, and you mentioned quality and differentiation. I think the challenge is simply, I always say that everybody says content is king. Local content is king of kings. Quality local content is king of kings. What we lack is the quality. We have volume. We have hundreds of series. This business is not the business of production. With few exceptions, is not a mature, organized business. It's trial and error, misses. It's small shops. There are no rules and regulation. There are no transparency. Everything happens. A lot of things happen under the table than over the table. There are so much that is lacking in terms of planning. What I'm trying to say is that the challenges are multifold. We have restrictions. Some of has to do with the censorship. How much can we go there? The differentiation in the US or Europe has to do with how much they can tackle in storytelling. That's an issue. The genre, you talked about women, drama is all for women in the Arab world. It is love, relationship. Who has seen any Arab science fiction? Crime, medical. This is most of the drama in the US and Europe are about these genres. These genres are risky here because nobody has tried them and the few attempts didn't make it because there is a limit to how much anybody is willing to risk. Now the risk can be multifold. Alienate the viewers, alienate conservative viewers, or alienate the advertisers who do not want, in commercial television, who do not want to go to the unknown. Prefer just stay where it works. If ain't broken, don't fix it. Now, that's an issue, that's a challenge in terms of experimenting, of trying to go one step beyond what is today in terms of quality. And quality means production values, means better storytelling, means everything has to be done better. Now, with the lack of efficiency in workflow and production, the higher quality means higher cost. Who's going to pay for the higher cost? Is the advertising market healthy enough to compensate? Will the 30 seconds ad for free-to-air, will the companies pay more just because you filmed in Dubai or Bahrain, Your Excellency, or in Cairo? What works, what doesn't? All these challenges, commercial, cultural, mentality, the industry itself, limits the ambitions. That doesn't mean that the future is gloomy for Arab content. On the contrary, I'm the one who brought Turkish drama to the Arab world, and I'm the one who's saying that eventually, first let me say, if there was no Turkish drama, Arab drama wouldn't have been shaken and tried to reinvent itself. The Egyptian drama has done that in the last 2 years, has been shaken, and it reinvented itself, quality-wise, storytelling, daring. The Gulf drama hasn't moved a lot, unfortunately, for different reasons. The stimulus didn't shake it up completely. The Syrian drama, which was ascending because of the weakness of the Egyptian drama, because of the war and other factors, is also where it is, it's not moving. The Lebanese drama is trying to come to the forefront and fill a gap. The Turkish drama now in Egypt, just to give you examples, is deteriorating in its ratings and appeal because there is strong Egyptian drama. Like American series doesn't have an appeal in India because they have a strong local production. So it's a nisbu tanasub. It is work in progress. Work in progress for Arab content to improve in volume, in quality, in storytelling, in relevancy, and in taking risks. And it will gradually but surely replace the Turkish and the Western content that appeals to many but doesn't appeal to everyone, And actually, the last point is I would totally agree with Khulud about that if the society, we read statistics everywhere about the 50% of every society is made up of youth. Content existing today does not respond to the needs, to the mentality of those. So there's still a lot of void gaps in content creation and content production to be done. We all here, I think, have a lot to do. The future is not gloomy at all for Arab production, but there has to be an ecosystem that helps. In Dubai, this great city where everyone would like to film because it's a great, I mean, it's like being in Los Angeles or London. Any city with this picturesque background is good. You know, in other cities, in London now, as big and attractive as they are, they just introduced tax rebate to attract the producers. Unfortunately, in Dubai, there is no tax to have a rebate. But having said that, this place, not Dubai in particular, this whole region, is expensive to produce. You can't produce Egyptian drama in a different country. You can't produce Syrian drama in a different country and make it work commercially. There's a logic of commercial logic that has to work so that the increase in quality and volume is justified. This is where we are, the ecosystem. It's not enough to do one thing and ask why aren't we producing more quality and volume. And the ecosystem is never done in a day or two or by one government or company or TV station. It's a collaborative. It's a collaborative effort by all those who compose, whose industry is made up of them, of all of you, of all of us together. And that's why I say the future is bright. Well, actually, that's the only way forward. If we don't collaborate.
What about piracy? How does piracy impact free-to-air?
Piracy, I didn't mention that I agree 100% with piracy. How can one invest in content when content is going for free and devaluing what you have paid for? It destroys the whole model. And that is, yes, it is Games of Thrones, I think, is one of the most, I think it is the most downloaded, illegally downloaded content in the whole world. And that's not Arabic. So this is a worldwide phenomenon. But the amount of piracy here, that there is no new series that airs on whether OSN or NBC that is not pirated the same day in the evening, or Turkish series for that matter, that is not pirated the same day or the second day. There are people who are addict on doing this. They might consider it as a service to the fans, to put everything new and fresh from wherever the source is on the websites the same day or the second day. They're killing us, and that's a problem that has to be solved before we talk about making the production and the industry mature, rational, and growing. Thank you.
I think you've hit on a lot of points, and Samer, as one of the representatives of the government, I'm going to hit you on both television and film. Can we tackle the question of piracy that was brought up? We can maybe mention. I'm going to ask you a few questions. What UAE is doing to help the piracy issue. Last year was at the Oscars was one of the best years for Arab film. We had Amar, we had The Square, we had Karama Has No Walls, 3 films from the Middle East, and Dubai has played a huge part with its film with the film festival that last year was 10 years old. The film market, the financing, the investment that the government has made in studios, in Media City. Where are we with the future of film, the future of television, and maybe if you can hit on all of these.
Thank you, Nina. Wow, lots of questions to remember. So the first one, I think, on piracy. I think the government is very focused on establishing new rules and laws to tackle all these new electronic crimes, as they call it. So I'm not very up to date on the rules on piracy, but I know they're very firm. So as part of the whole generic rule on electronic crimes. But following up on the piracy part, I think it's very crucial to change the way we push that content outside. So in the film industry, one of the ways they're trying to get out of the piracy issue is the day and date model, where they push that film on every single platform in one day. So by that, they're in a way killing any possible ways of piracy, which is common with a classic model of different, there is at the time difference on different platforms. So from theatrical, after a specific time, it goes to VOD or DVDs or TV. So I think it's crucial to think about. I know, for example, NBC or DMI and so on, where the content that goes on TV, after a while it goes online, which is a great way of still monetize that content on their official platforms, online platform, instead of just going random and without any connection to it. And the third question regarding supporting Arabic films. The Dubai Film Festival, as most of you are aware, started in 2004. Our goal was to really bridge cultures and position Dubai as it is, as a melting pot from all over the world. So one of the things that the Dubai film market has been focusing from its inception under the Dubai Film Festival is supporting the Arab content. The challenge was at that time there is not much of good quality Arab films being produced. So all the initiatives that the Dubai film market started from then in the last 8 years was all about supporting the development of great Arabic films, either documentaries, either fiction, shorts, or feature. And we look back at these 8 years, and we managed to support over 243 Arabic films in this period. And all the films you mentioned going to the Oscar last year, in a way or another, were supported by Dubai, either from the different initiatives or has been screened in the Dubai International Film Festival, which is absolutely great to be part of, and we're very happy of that. That being said, for example, The Factory Girl, which was in Dubai last year and supported in one of the initiatives of the film market, is an official nominee of Egypt this year to the Oscars as well. That being said, I think after the 10th year of the festival, we looked at doing some changes, because the problem is not anymore the development of good Arabic films. Now we have good Arabic films. It's going to the Oscars. They're going to the Oscars. They're going to other places around the world, great screenings in different festivals. But the films die after festivals. So one of the examples we can talk about is Umar, which was the opening film of Dubai Film Festival last year. My question is, have anyone seen it in this room, beside the ones who saw it in the opening of DIF? No one else. So there is where the problem is, monetizing these great films. Hence, we changed our strategy a bit towards the distribution and acquisition and sales of Arabic films. And with the festival this year and the market, we're announcing new partnerships and initiatives focusing on that. The development of Arabic films is still happening between us and our partners in the region, between Dubai, Abu Dhabi and Doha, which is fantastic. So more and more great films will be coming out. But the next step is really, how can we see these great films around the region and different platforms? The initiative we established this year, which we're very proud of, is the Dubai Distribution Program. So it's quite simple. We partnered with the major distributors in the region. They will be looking at Arabic films. They're committing to a minimum of selection of one Arabic title of the films, and they will distribute it. So it will be a way to stop the blame game, if I can say, between the filmmakers and the distributors, where they were filmmakers saying, distributors don't pick up our titles, they focus on mainstream films, and distributors saying, we don't find good Arabic films. So hopefully this will help out to close this gap, and this will be a new way of pushing these films out, hopefully to use the very vibrant market we have in the Middle East and the young audience we have who are very, very eager to have new content, to see Arabic films and start getting used to seeing themselves on the big screen, because that is one of the issues. We are not used to seeing ourselves on the big screen.
I want to follow up a bit on what you're saying. DIF is a wonderful experience, but it happens once a year. And really, there's very little that happens in the movie theaters for independent film in the UAE beyond that, so we wait from one year to the next. There are very little initiatives like The Scene or really independent initiatives that are taking place that allow indie films to be seen on the screen. And DIF itself is not really following up along the year, helping the filmmakers that have succeeded, like Omar, to have an outlet for their films. There are no theaters that are investing in independent film. There's no television screens that are investing in independent films. Can you tell us whether it's the quality of the film or the people's appetite for the films, or because the distribution model needs to be changed?
I think it's not the quality, it's really today, yes, the festival takes place in December, but throughout the year we do activities in the country, between Sharjah and Dubai, where we do lots of screenings of
Minimum. They're like one-offs.
With Maraya Art Center, for example, in Sharjah, it's almost monthly. With the pavilion before,
Is that you? Who's
we have our partners who do almost the same between City 13 and Ibn Battuta with a picture. But the chat, it's not me.
Okay.
Ibn Battuta?
Ibn Battuta, yeah, with the Cine 13. But if we look a bit back to the history, Elena, in 2004, when we started the festival, we had almost 21,000 admissions to all the films we had. Versus last year, with an increase of almost 150%, we had 57,000 admissions. So we still need more and more people to watch these films. You asked the question, if I'm going to the cinemas and I look at a Terminator film or a major mainstream film, and I see a film like Wajda, which one I will pick up, which one I will buy a ticket for. So it goes back to the people. So that's one of the challenges we're facing. As I said, through our partners and our own activities throughout the year, we do push the films and different films under different themes throughout the year. The second challenge is the distribution models. Because when I talked about the day and date as a new trend globally, and you look at other independent indie cinemas in the States who are looking at new models that really cater with everything that's happening, it is something lacking here. We don't have that yet. So the whole distribution to be relooked at today. VOD is not considered as a major platform to release films. Filmmakers from this part of the world get offended when you tell them your film should go directly to VOD or to TV directly. They believe theatrical is the best, but realistically, theatrically might not be the best for the films. So distribution is an absolute challenge as well.
Okay. Fadi had said that local is the king of kings. And Ziad, you've been somebody who's taken these huge formats, scripted and unscripted, from all around the world and localized them. So could you tell us a bit about how that works, what the advantage is of taking something that's worked so well in other markets and regionalizing it, and also how difficult it has been for you to be able to find the talent, whether on-screen and off-screen, to make these formats into a reality?
First of all, good morning to everyone, and good morning to everyone with me on the panel. I'm always asked this question of, is there a lack of creativity in the Arab world, and that's why we go around after international formats? What I'd like to mention is something that we debate internally when we're producing a show always. The fact that when you're creating a show, initially the creator does not think that he's creating for a specific market. There are some universal elements in a TV program that work everywhere in the world, because at the end of the day, we share the fact that we're all human beings and we respond to the same triggers and the same emotions. So if I want to look at the big formats, these carry those basic emotions. And then when we bring them to the region, we're responding to a need in the market. So if I want to speak about the talent shows and the fact that we have so many talent shows on air now, it is something that triggers basic emotions in people, and it makes them escape and dream, and they see a representation of themselves in those talents that we showcase on stage. So I don't like to talk about the fact that it's importing or bringing shows from elsewhere.
You misunderstand what I said. It's not about importing. I think it's actually good to have these Bibles because it sets a benchmark for us that's very, very high. And it forces us to sort of quickly learn how to make these huge, very successful formats. It would be nice to eventually produce our own formats ourselves, but I'm not seeing this as a negative thing. What I'm thinking, my question was more about filling in, now that we have the Bible, you still need to have people who can actually produce this Bible. And you need to have people in front of the screen who can put together a really good show. I'm just wondering about the talent pool that you have to choose from to be able to fill in, and how easy it's been for you and where you're getting it from, and if there's enough training or people are getting training on the job on your shows.
There are so many challenges when you look at this. First, if we want to look at the region, you need to, when you do TV and when you produce content, there's a lot of creativity that's involved. So you need to have environments everywhere in the region where you can nurture talent and allow people to learn this industry. So it's always a challenge because we are limited with the number of people that work in this field. And when we do the big shows, we speak about hundreds of people being involved off screen to produce a show. So it is a huge challenge, and there's a bit of lack of expertise. Like the region is not consistent in terms of existence of talent. So like, you know, I don't want to speak about nationalities and what have you, but at the end of the day, we just look at the markets where there's a bit of more experience because they've been producing shows for a longer period of time. And that's why we have, like, when we look at the entertainment shows, at least, I'm not talking about the scripted and the dramas, which are very successful in other countries, but when I look at entertainment in specific, you see a big number of Lebanese talent involved. And it's due to the fact that they've been producing that particular type of show for a long period of time. We constantly try to, like, you know, bring in talent from other countries, and it's a challenge for us. And we want to do that because at the end of the day, the exchange of ideas and the exchange between different countries will enrich what you're doing, and it'll respond more to the needs of your viewers, because we're addressing a population that lives across 23 countries. So we need to answer those needs. So it's a huge challenge, off screen and on screen as well. Like, you know, in terms of talent as well, it's becoming more and more difficult to get talent on screen, because you bring them to a show and then you need to respond to a dream as well, because you're bringing someone who's like dreaming of becoming a singer, and then we need to deliver on that. It's true that we use them in the show, but when the show finishes, those people go through so many emotions when they're live on air, and then all of a sudden, when we have the last episode, everything ends. So when you come back with more seasons, it becomes a bigger challenge because we are not answering their needs.
So we're talking about follow-up to the creative.
But, you know, it's like, and they're fantastic talents at the end of the day, but they have no outlets.
I think before we go on to Bassam, there's a need, I guess, for this continuity. For this continuity in scripted and unscripted drama, there needs to be some kind of school, I guess, that would take on bringing these talents and maybe direct them, and so that they would have longevity. Is there anything in the works in terms of like a drama school or a talent school that would, because right now we're importing a lot of things to Dubai, and a lot of the reason why dramas cost too much or whatever is because everybody has to be brought in from outside. So is there anything that's being done on the ground to grow these talents, enrich them, and create some kind of longevity for the industry? This is an open question for anybody.
There are efforts from the American University in Sharjah to Zayed University to American University in Dubai to Abu Dhabi has many universities. I think in 2-3 years we'll have classes, one class after another graduating. It's not about talents. I don't think it's about talents. It's about the cycle of production, the cycle of where does it. I mean, Ziad mentioned Lebanon. Lebanon is still cost effective and has talents. If the Emirates becomes cost effective and has talents, there is nothing that prevents, and it has the stability that Lebanon lacks. But still, they're producing in Lebanon. So, in theory, when the conditions are good, nothing stops these productions from happening in Bahrain, in the Emirates, and everywhere that the conditions are right. Now, when do conditions become right is a big question because it has to do with many factors, and these factors, as I was saying, are never a push-button issues. It takes time, it takes encouragement. Always nascent. We are still, although we've been producing for tens of years, this industry is still nascent in terms of reaching a logical and rational growth. And therefore, it needs a lot of incubation, support, protection. And these usually done by entities who can afford it. In Europe, there are fundings, there are regional, city funding, government funding. This cannot be done by any one player. That's why I always say it's a collaboration of many players coming together, putting their differences and working towards something that will benefit all in a win-win situation rather than in any competition mentality. And the problems, as Her Excellency said, we have 1,200 players. Now, how do you bring all these together? That doesn't exist anywhere else. So I'm saying, in theory, collaboration is the solution between the talent providers, the service providers, the funding providers. It's a collaborative effort. But there are so many players on different levels, and to bring them together is going to be challenging.
Idea which we have seen it succeeding in other markets is integration. You see so many small companies, let's not even talk about channels. You have so many companies, and each company think that they have it all. We don't have companies who are workshops for script writing. Like, you cannot have an Egyptian writing a Gulf drama. So there are writers, they're very good writers who specialize in good writing, workshops for writing. There are other companies can be specialized just in feel and look and post-production. I think companies have to sit and integrate. So we need to see companies joining, not only joining effort by, I help you, you help me. No, actually, financially, the less companies, the more we see, companies accepting that my strength is this and your strength is this, and we can join either financially into joint ventures. We need to see this more. We have seen it on the pay TV side when we really different platform became one. Your financial power is bigger, and there's more specialization. We need to see this. Companies need to understand no one have it all, and we need more specialization. Music design is a specialization, sound design is specialization, script writing is specializations. And every company, production company, comes and pretend that they have it all. I think we really need to think again about joining businesses together and specializing more in integration. We need integration in this business.
When you mention as well the fact that there needs to be integration, we also suffer from the fact that we do not have enough competition from the broadcasting end as well. There's not enough competition because with a lot of competition, you can grow this industry. And we feel that, in terms of the outlets we have, they're becoming very limited. So in terms of it's a huge region. We have around 360 million people, and we only have a few key players. I know we mentioned there are 1,200 channels covering this region, but who are the ones that are investing in content? Maybe 6 or 7.
It's
So
a
that-
But maybe
that's a
it's not
big
cost
problem.
effective at this point for, there's a lot of television stations, especially terrestrial television stations, for whom it's not cost effective to be able to invest in the kind of dramas that Fadi is producing or the kind of formats or scripted formats that you're producing.
Yeah, but there is an issue at the core that needs to be addressed as well. Like, why can't we see more commercial broadcasters? So there are questions that we need to answer as well.
Can I
Because
say
it's
one-
also limiting our creativity when we have one outlet only, you know? It's to give an example, all the biggest talent shows are on the same platform. Where's the competition?
There was competition.
But let's say about, if I may say something about maturity of the market. Maturity of the market means we're so much different than Europe or the US, but there are basics. In UK, how many channels, broadcasters are considered the main players? 3, 4, 5. In France, the same. In Germany, the same. In the US, how many major networks? I'm not talking about cable, but the major networks are 4 or 5. So the competition is heavy, but it is between 4 or 5 major players. Now, we are immature in the sense that we don't believe in collaboration. We don't believe in co-productions. We don't believe in mergers. We just believe in fighting. It's a cultural thing.
But Fadi, that's where I beg to differ, because in the States right now you had the 3 networks, but I think cable is playing a very, very important part, as are things like Netflix and Amazon and Hulu, who are all getting into programming. So the market is not the 3 players anymore. And it's not just HBO and Showtime anymore. It's TNT, it's TBS, it's AMC, it's...
But it's a life cycle. You know, you need to allow, time and years for our industry. Time is of essence. We need to develop. We cannot jump into a level. The US, if we compare it to the US or Europe, they passed through this maybe 50 years ago. So, we need integration and specialization and investing in new cadre, new talents in an academic way. And we need to have companies with financial power, because you can have 15 production, I cannot even have a number. You can have as much as you want, but if they don't have the expertise or the financial power, where are you going? So it's a balance. I think the key word here is a balance between having enough competition, but sometimes competition in a non-developed industry like ours means, it destroys, joint and integration could mean success in an industry like ours. It needs a balance. I understand your idea of competition, but you need to be in that life cycle where you have created the infrastructure to have that differentiation and that competition. We're not in it. We're far away from it.
I want to get to Bassam before we dive into, because this is a topic that we can go on to over and over. Bassam, you are one of the companies that are the independent companies that are producing programming for these outlets. And I'm sure that you've knocked on the doors of people like Fadi and Khulud. Can you tell us a bit about what it's been like as an independent production company trying to produce in this market that should be a good market for people like you? Or has it been very difficult and you find that the doors are not opening in the way that you would like them to open?
Actually, we have something in the company. The production, we are not a production company. Our production is a production department inside the company. So we have the ability and we have the choice to do the formats that we like to do, we love to do, and to be selective. So we are concentrating to create original content, Arabic local content, and even when we collaborate with international companies that they are creating content, we decide to work with people that they are doing something for the first time, they are doing new format, and we enter the process so we can have, if we are going to make it an Arabic version for it, it is already ready there. So we don't have to still work on adapting it and see what the audience want, how we change it. So we have this luxury of selecting what we're offering to the outlets, to the platform.
We have people here who talked about the lack of maybe women-specific programming or the lack of youth-oriented programming. the need for a 360 on almost all the platforms now. It's like it's not just enough to do a scripted or unscripted show. You need to almost have an outlet for it on every other one of the platforms. What do you deliver as an independent company with not much restrictions in terms of tackling these trends or foreseeing these trends and offering the broadcasters things that they need based on the requirements that they just put out there?
Our challenges is the demand, not demand of the audience, demand of the advertisers, and the demand of our market is more controlled by the advertising and the advertisers. So this is why there is not enough genres. There is no science fiction because some advertisers will say, we will not pay money to advertise on this. The love story, okay, we will have the, what do we call it, the Oprah fan base, the people that watch Oprah Winfrey, they will love it, they will pay money for that. This is the challenge. The challenge is creating the demand. I guess something smart OSN did, creating the standalone platform, online platform. I guess they will start eventually produce for this platform. NBC did something that they created Shahad, but it's a catch-up TV. When it's going to the next phase to be to have their own content, it will be easier for us to create more genres, more ideas for these platforms. So the challenge is.
But it's like, again, you know, whether advertisers, we're talking to audiences, we should satisfy audience and we need to take risk and stand up, you know, because it's really the responsibility we take. It's the advertisers also are talking to audience. If all is حب وغرام وانتقام, which doesn't reflect the pulse of the street, it's have nothing to do with our reality. I know we are challenged because you have revenue targets. Exactly. All of us have them, but sometimes you need to be visionary, stand up, take the risk, and you know, do it once. Let's do it once. Let's stop and saying we are not going to put on our screen a show that is a repetition or actually of another show. That's what happens now. Something succeeds, an advertiser get a revenue, exactly. And then we see a replication of it. Exactly. It's really boring and no money.
In our company, we decided only to produce something under the big dome of edutainment. We pick something, it's entertaining, but we find the educational part, or it's not educational, it's something that people will benefit from out of it. We set the values that we can go for it. Our latest production is Al Batar reality show. It's an MMA reality show. The competition in this market is small. There is only NBC got one and Fox got another one, plus the international format that OSN have and Abu Dhabi. So we decided to take another path in this format. We tried to educate people who interested in MMA and give people who's enjoying fighting competitions the entertainment of the fight.
Okay. Before we wrap up and open up for questions, yes.
So important, and we forgot to mention it, is the fact that we don't have measurement tools to know what people are watching. Like, you know, this is something that is beyond belief that we're in 2014 and we really don't know what people are watching. This is not acceptable anymore. And I don't know if anyone is doing anything to resolve it, because what exists now is not enough.
So the demand, the advertiser are creating the demand, not the audience. This is why, because we don't have enough statistics that what exactly people like to watch.
I think there's some efforts that are being made. I think you have very deep statistics and analysis that you can...
Technology will change it all, because no more advertising company will come and present data as data which at the end of the day will serve their own. You know, you cannot be, you cannot, it's very subjective. It's not objective data, but technology will return path and people meters available, whether for free to air, we will have subjective and tangible. You know, how is Turkey different than us? Why Turkey can have every single morning I wake up, I come to my office, I have data rating. So we really need to face reality of what really viewers are watching, which will change advertisers and will change the whole mechanism. So I think technology and people meter is the next step for the Middle East. It will change everything for us. Because now we're working blind. We develop content based on what someone said. Yeah. But whether it's reflect reality of what viewers are watching.
Especially people watch Game of Thrones on OSN, but we don't have a version of Game of Thrones in Arabic or something, fantasy and some, but people are watching that.
It's again, do we want to be followers or leaders? We need to accept that to succeed in the Middle East, we need to be trendsetters. When HBO launched Game of Thrones, if you think of it, how mad, how creative, how out of the box, we need to challenge ourselves and think we should not do an Arabic Game of Thrones. We should do something from our reality, which is so rich. We
had that before when Al-Kawasir, Al-Jawarih.
But still, it's far away from really getting specialization, enough time to develop and challenge ourselves.
It's not only Ramadan. When we have seasons
Yes,
for the year, we will have that.
Yeah, before we get kicked off the stage, I just want us to maybe wrap up with some thoughts that you have, either about where our next steps and the trends, or maybe where we see the industry going in the next maybe 5 years. I think 10 years is too far ahead to predict this industry. So if we could start with you, Khulud.
I think there's one thing I have on my mind regarding Gulf films, because this is a project we're working on, respecting Arabic movies and having a window specific for movies. And when I personally and OSN went into the project, I'm going like, where are Gulf movies? And the problem we see that the Gulf movies are being produced for festivals, not for audiences. And I think we need a balance in editorial. We need to produce not to win an award in a ceremony. That's good. We need to produce movies that actually won audiences, and that's a big challenge that we really need to think of. Maybe we discuss it offline. And I have seen it. Yes, I want to take that movie. It's beautiful, but when you put it on air, it doesn't attract audiences. So there's a reason why, and we need to look at that. I think the challenge is, let's speak about opportunities. Current technologies will open to us new revenue streams. And there is a bit of a lack of vision from our producers currently on opportunities. So, movies are produced and go without looking at transactional windows, without looking at other revenue streams that are available to us. Digital platforms and the second screen opportunities. Are we thinking of what does second screen means for Arabic dramas? Are we thinking of developing new dramas with that in vision? Formats. We spent 3 years just pushing when we launched Arabic HD, pushing producers to produce in HD. Now it's 4K or 8K. Do we have the vision to do that? I think we have a challenge, but we have opportunities of new revenue streams through new windows and having a proper proper distribution strategy. We come to viewers and said to producer and say, you have a pay window, you have a transactional window, you have a pay window, and you have free window. And it's 3 years and still people do not understand that. There's no competition here, it's new revenue streams. So I think it's technology and the opportunities of new revenue streams.
Fadi?
5 years from now, we'll be watching lots of Arab local content, much more than now. Different quality, different genre, because somebody will take the risk. We need to address the youth content, which is almost non-existent today. I'm talking about content, I'm not talking about TV, because by that time, I'm sure we would have, since our societies are made up of lots of youth, we will be consuming content on different platforms, not only the TV that we're used to, even if it is 4K, big, curved, rectangular, whatever shape. We will be using iPads, iPods, whatever eyes in the world that would have been invented by that time.
iWatch.
So whoever has content at that time, whoever owns content in the Arab world will be the king.
Samir?
Shukran. Today we do have a TV industry in the region. When you talk about the UAE, we do have a TV industry in the UAE. But we do not have a film industry in the UAE. My definition of having a film industry is films being made in the UAE and they return their investment and people make a living out of it. Today, films made in the UAE are hardly, not talking about Hollywood or Bollywood films shooting in the UAE. I'm talking about films made from here and they actually make their money back. So in 5 years' time, I believe that will be the case. This year alone, we had 3 feature Emirati films, which is amazing. Another different 2 or 3 of them made it to the cinemas. So it's happening. The cycle is about to start, which is amazing. And the snowball effect will start this year, which means in 5 years' time, we will have a film industry and kids going to college and studying film will be proud to say so, and their parents will be supporting them to do so, because that will be something that will have a steady income to them.
Yeah.
I think we are already 5 years from now.
Hello.
By one simple thing is we are ignoring the fact that we have a connected viewer now, and eventually that viewer will decide what he wants to watch, when he wants to watch it, and where he wants to watch it. It's already now, and we are not looking at it. So
I think we're all very aware
yeah.
that we have TV sets in our houses that nobody's turning on.
Yeah. So that's my answer.
The future is online. The future is transmedia, the social media. The social media is evolving. Facebook is making their Facebook is now it's a TV. Between each post and post, you will have auto-generated ad, and they will produce content. Video on demand services will keep developing. Local content will stop go to the broadcasters. They will have their own websites. They don't need platforms. They will create their own platforms, and the broadcasters will go for them. I guess the quality is high. The technology is cheap. So I guess content, it's need only just to open our minds and create content with no limits. So the future is the video on demand services. The future is the audience control the content by tweeting about it, by talking about it, by creating it.
Thank you very much, panelists. This was such a fantastic panel. I wish we had more time for it, but we want to take a photograph of all of you together as well.
Thank you, Vijaya. Thank you all.